And we're live, episode number 22, when women have money problems, or anybody has money problems, and that train wreck that might be created along with that. How you doing, Sean?
Good. How you doing, Rich?
Good, man. Welcome back. You've been off for a week. You've acquired a duck since then, I understand.
I'm sorry, say that again.
You've acquired a duck since
I
then.
have, yeah. I was out on a training ride about last Friday, and I was riding home about 2 blocks from my house, and I saw this little duck wandering around, a little tiny baby duck. And I was looking around. There's no family. Little baby ducks need their families, and there's no one around. And he's just running back and forth, calling for his mom, and he looked all panicked. So I followed him for a bit and couldn't locate his family. So I scooped him up and walked around, looked for the family, couldn't find the family. So he's here with us now. If you want a picture of him, I can go grab him later. But yeah, it's a baby duck. So
Awesome. Yeah, looks cute as hell. I mean, you see him on your Twitter.
oh, they're adorable. Yeah. But I don't want him around forever. So I'm trying to not get him imprinted. Ducks are like, they'll imprint on you and you're their mom forever if you're not careful. So we're trying to avoid that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about foie gras right now. It's probably one of the tastiest dishes I've ever had, but I probably shouldn't even be doing that. Anyway, today's topic, we're kicking off actually with two. I created the event over the weekend and wanted to start with money problems, because that's a massive train wreck when you get involved with somebody, you bring them into your inner circle in your life. Not just with relationships, but also in business, if I'm being honest. I've been involved with people that have had a number of red flags when it comes to money and business, and it's always a bad idea. We're going to hit on that in a second, but before we do, I'm going to grab a link that you sent me and let you talk about it while I kind of dial into the blog talk and get that set up, because I'm going to need a couple of minutes. So take a few minutes on this one. It's Women Are Happier Without Children or a Spouse, says happiness expert. And I'll just drop that in the chat, and I'm going to mute myself while you talk after that. Go ahead.
All right. Well, this is a professor of behavioral science at the London School of Economics. And I think that's the same school that Satoshi Kanazawa got in trouble with a long time ago. If you don't know that name, you can look it up. But they've got some big thinkers there, apparently. He wrote a book called Happy Ever After. And in this book, he was talking about how women are happiest when they're unmarried and they don't have children, which doesn't fit with anything that I've ever really come across. Like I've never heard a woman say that happiness is a cold, empty house and the memory of a career where I got used. But he's making the case that women are happiest and they live the longest and they're just better off if they don't have a man in their life. So there was a Guardian article on this speech that he gave at something called the Hay Festival. And at this, he had this little line where he said, married people are happier than other population subgroups, but only when their spouse is in the room when they're asked how happy they are. So he's saying that if you're a researcher and you're asking a woman if she's happy, she's going to change her answer based on whether or not the man is in the room or he's out in the waiting room. So apparently she's making the case that she's being honest if she's in one of those conditions and not in the other. So he says, when the spouse is not present, women admit that they are effing miserable. Now, there's a problem with this. Number one, he's using data from the American Time Use Survey, which I don't know much about, but I know it's a very big data set and it's fairly reliable data. But he's using data that isn't statistically significant, and he's completely misinterpreting some of the data. What he's doing is there's a question called spouse present, spouse not present. Those are the two options as the researchers are asking people this question. They're asking about their happiness, and then they ask spouse present or spouse not present. And the question actually is asking, is your spouse present in your home? Not is the spouse present in the room right now. Is your spouse present in your home, or is your spouse not present in your home? So it's actually the opposite of what Paul Dolan is saying here, that when their men are not living in the home, women are less happy. But because he misinterpreted the data, he's saying that when their spouse is in the room, they're faking it. So it's actually exactly opposite of what he's saying. Now, I don't want to pick on Paul Dolan because I didn't read his book. I'm not going to read his book. I know he's got a lot of other data in there. But what struck me about this is how the media seized on this story. It was picked up by The Guardian, The Independent, The New York Post, Harper's Bazaar, Parade, People Magazine, Fox News. This is the lie that traveled halfway around the room before the truth could put its shoes on. There's still no retractions or corrections. Now, in the Guardian piece, they seem to have edited out that line that I just read. That line still shows up in the Fox piece, and it originally showed up in the Guardian piece, if I remember correctly. And I saw a screenshot of it earlier today where it was in the Guardian piece, and for some reason they took it out, probably because it's completely wrong. But yeah, it's just another one of these stories where if they can make the case that women are the victim of men, they're going to run with it. And meanwhile, it turns out that the truth is something different. And this data contradicts a ton of information that's out there about women being better off when they're married and when they have families, better off health wise and better off longevity wise. But, if we can make the case that men are the bad guys, we're going to make the case that men are the bad guys.
Yeah.
So what do you think on this?
I'm going to go a little deeper than Sean.
All right.
Not be academic and judge the book, because I always like to consider the source whenever I look at a piece, an article, the origin story. And the author of this one is Cyan Kayan. I'm not even sure if that's a real name or a pen name. I'm suspect it's probably a pen name, but as you click through, we have a unhappy looking pixie cut with a button-up checkered collar. I mean, you can click it for yourself and see. So guys, like, always consider the source when you're evaluating media pieces, press pieces, and that sort of stuff. Quite often, we already know a lot of this comes from the toxic feminist element, but it is what it is. It's certainly an interesting piece. It's interesting to see that it got picked up, and the story itself is, I don't know, are women really happier without men in their lives? I mean, can they do it all by themselves? Do they really not need a man?
That seems to be the message here, right? That you don't need a man. In fact, you shouldn't have a man if you want to be happy.
Yeah.
And what's really sad about this, and I'm not making the case for marriage. I don't push for marriage. I think it's kind of a last resort if you want to have a family. But what's sad about this is that there are so many women out there that are already confused by this feminist message that you can have it all and you don't need a man. And it has led to a lot of misery. And here's this message that's been picked up by everybody saying you're better off without a man. And they're going to hit late 30s, early 40s if they listen to this advice, and it's going to be an ugly scene for them.
Yep. Anyway, moving on from Cyan Can.
Yeah.
The lines are open, folks. 323-642-1618. If you want to call in and get in the queue. We'll be taking those in a moment. I built this broadcast on the topic of money. I'm actually surprised we haven't done this one yet, because I've been in kind of the debt and credit business for a long, long time now, approaching, what is it? My memory's not so good, 26 years. And I've seen a lot of stuff, and money is a big, big problem, or lack of financial knowledge, if you will, is a big, big problem when it comes to making a big train wreck out of your life. Again, I'm going to remind you guys, the shows before the train wreck, what we aim to do is try to help you guys avoid making a train wreck out of your life by vetting certain scenarios. That's what the call-in lines are for, again. So bringing somebody into your life that has a problem with managing their money. And to me, money is just a math equation. If you make $5,000 a month, you spend a lot less than $5,000 a month, then you bank some of it. So you've got a rainy day fund. Sometimes it's a rainy day fund. Sometimes when it rains, it pours. Sometimes it's a bloody hurricane for days straight, and it just, piles on you. So it's always a good idea to have those financial resources. To me, money creates options. It gives you the ability to choose. It gives you the ability to raise the middle finger to people you don't want to get involved with, events, jobs, whatever you may want to call it. It gives you the ability to basically say F you and move on and just tell them to go pound sand so you can do what you want. But when you have a lack of financial resources, quite often it just compounds on itself over and over again. And when you choose to bring a partner into your life, whether it comes to marriage, LTR, dating relationship, business, entrepreneur type of events, things like that, you're asking for a whole world of problems that are well beyond your scope of understanding until you're going to get 6-12 months into that and find out, well, holy crap, I had money 6-12 months ago. Now I don't have money, and I have this person in my life that I'm intertwined with that has dragged me into their vortex of BS. And it's not uncommon for people to get dragged into relationships with people where they might have had the greatest credit in the world, but get drawn in because of rose-colored glasses, whether it's, like a female, a male, or even a business partner, because of big promises. I used to have this friend of mine when I was a kid. His dad always used to say, bullshit baffles brains. And some of the greatest bullshitters have convinced people to do things with money and their own credit and destroyed their entire lives trying to support somebody or bail them out of theirs or play Captain Save-A-Ho or whatever that narrative is. So I think it's incredibly important that you are aware of somebody's financial situation before you get tied in with them. And that, again, I'm reminding you, it just doesn't have to do with chasing tail. This also has to do with business. A lot of people will wave a big banner and flag around about how awesome they are. But when you peel back the layers and the reality becomes obvious, and sometimes it takes a while, like people will tell you who they are. So move slowly. Like Sean always said in his book, take a longer vetting period. Take your time to get to know somebody before you do anything with them. And my stance on long-term relationships is never mingle your finances. Always keep them separate. You want to add to that, Sean?
The data says something a little different. The data says that marriage outcomes, I'm going to be careful here because I want to make sure that I'm saying this correctly. And I'm going to say it. And if I'm wrong, I'll correct it later.
Yeah.
That marriage data says that you have better outcomes when you mingle your finances. So I'm a big proponent of keeping your categories straight. So you bring someone into your life, they are your girlfriend, they're your fiance, they're your wife, they're your roommate. Those are basically the four categories. And guys really get their tit in the ringer, as my dad used to say, when they start mixing up those two categories. So you're married, but you're acting like your roommates, or your roommates, but you're acting like you're married. So, I think there's a good argument to be made for what you're saying about keeping things separate, but data says act like you're married if you want better outcomes.
Yeah, but do you need to mix your money if you're married? I mean, do you need to mix your money if you're in an LTR? Like, even if you're not married, you're living with somebody under the same roof. Let's say you've decided to do that and lived in what the state views as marriage. Do you think it's reasonable that you need to blend your finances?
Oh, hell no. No, if you're just living together, no, you don't blend your finances.
What about if you're married? Do you really need to blend your finances then?
You don't need to. And it's just statistics. So, I've met plenty of couples that keep their finances separate and they seem to do fine, but just statistically, and it's a small effect. It's not a major effect.
Yeah. Maybe the stats say you're going to have a better marriage, but at the end of the day, if you have to untie the knot, which you do 50% of the time, having commingled finances is never going to be any easier. In fact, it's always more complicated. And I've seen tens of thousands of people run through my company with commingled finances and separated finances, and those that are not commingled always fare far, far better.
Yeah, during the divorce, and ideally, and again, I'm not pushing for marriage, I don't do that, but ideally, if you manage the variables and you manage the risk, then you've got a greater than 50% chance of succeeding. If you take that long vetting period and you get to know their friends and their family and how they operate, and you have solid values that are shared and similar, you can reduce that risk quite a bit. You can't eliminate it, but you can reduce it. And as far as mixing your finances with somebody that you're living with, I don't know. Would you pick some random person off the street and mingle your finances? I wouldn't.
No, I mean, I still wouldn't do it, living with somebody, because half the time it's not going to work out anyway, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. When you're living with somebody, yes, the chances of it working out are not great.
Yeah. All right. So we got some callers coming in the lines, guys. Usually by the end of the show, we've got like dozens in there. So if you intend to call in, now's the time to do it. You get a better chance of getting on the air. Also, just to quickly shout out, we got a super chat from F80M3 versus the world. Appreciate that. Good choice of vehicles as well. You know that I admire those. And welcome new member, Mission Life Motion. Real quick, we've got hundreds of guys watching right now. I've only see 72 thumbs up. Show me some love. Give it a thumbs up. Smash it. It makes a toxic feminist cry somewhere. And again, call-in lines are open, 323-642-1618. Let's take this first caller. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to mention the area code just to kind of keep your city or town private, but I'll mention the exchange, which is the 3 digits after the area code. So 602, bringing you on live. All right, you got a question? You can hear us okay?
Hi, Richard. Hi, Dr. Smith.
How you doing?
Good, thank you. So, question about on the subject of money. So, I'm in a unique situation. I have a family business, and the way things are going in life, I'm going in a direction where I'm making myself the center of attention to. I'm working on self-improvement. Let's just leave it at that. And I'm going in the right direction. Now, going forward to find a woman that's the most compatible for me, that would be a good LTR. If she's going to be in a situation where she's not going to be most likely not as financially well off as me, and let's just say her family is not as financially well off as mine. Again, my family, we're in a good situation financially, and also we have like a pretty big small business. So how would you, I guess, use the word vet for women that, because you're always saying don't marry down. You're always saying marry around the same ranking as you, or even higher, Richard. What's your guys' take on this, on how I should go about finding the right woman who I see most compatible, but when I dive into her finances and her family finances, how to gauge that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first thing you should know is you can have it all. You just can't have it all at the same time. So while you may find mutual attraction between the two, you may not find somebody that's even close to you, financially. In which case you can protect that with a prenup to some degree and a few other things that you can do. But I mean, like specifically what you're saying is, what do you do if you meet somebody that is not as financially secure as you nor their family?
Right. But the woman is like comes from a good quality family. She has good values. I can see a lot of compatibility. It's been over let's say the 2-year honeymoon phase that Dr. Smith always mentions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's getting to the point where I don't see myself with anybody else besides this person because we just have a very good fit.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say her finances are, she has like school loans to pay off, but her job, let's say, shows promise, for example, because I don't want to be in a situation where I marry the hairdresser and I'm an entrepreneur, like you mentioned in your videos. So
yeah,
what do you think about that?
Well, women don't marry on promise. Women hang out at the finish line and they pick the winner, right? How long have you guys been dating for?
I'm not dating anyone at the moment, and seriously, anyone at the moment. This is just something I've discussed with my dad. Over time, we just have father and son chats, and this is something I was just curious about because I'm in a unique situation. So I want to gauge your opinion and Dr. Smith's opinion on this.
Are you a high income earner? Like, what do you normally make in a year?
Right, I'm making in the 80s.
80s. Okay. Well, there's lots of women that are making over 80,000.
Yeah. Well, it's not. I mean, I'm in a good situation because it's a family business. So eventually, it's going to be, going up more and more as long as the business is growing. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting my graduate degree as well in business.
How old are you?
I see a lot of promise, and I apply myself a lot.
How old are you?
28.
28. Okay. What do you think, Sean?
I think there's a couple issues on the table. One is you're talking about level of ambition and just her values about how she's going to move through her profession and what she's doing in the world. That's one question. You want to make sure those values are aligned. But the 4 things that really kill marriage is sex, money, religion, and children, right? So if you're not on the same page with all 4 of those, you're going to have problems. And so this is part of the vetting process is as you're getting to know her, you get to know what her values are about money. And that means you get into her family circle and you find out what their values are about money, because that will come back and just destroy you down the road if you're not on the same page.
Yeah. And, just kind of clarify my point, because I've talked about, you get the entrepreneur that's making $250,000 a year and you find a hairdresser that's making 30,000. Well, you invite her into your lifestyle. But the problem with that with family law is if things go sideways, which they're going to have, half the time, you're going to be responsible to maintain the lifestyle at the $250,000 level of income. So, it's like, you're bringing home the bacon and she should be cooking it up. But at the end of the day, if it goes sideways, those 5 years of, well, here's my 40,000 because I wanted to do my share sort of thing. She's still taking half of the pot of gold that you guys are living with. So I think that if you're going to choose to marry that far down, you want to protect it with a prenup. If you're not marrying that far down and there's not that much of a difference, it doesn't really matter. I mean, if you guys are bringing roughly the same to the table, writing up a prenup doesn't really have much point. I mean, like you're not bringing much value there. There's other things that you can do too, though. I mean, like you should talk to a family lawyer where you live to find out what a family trust might look like or how you can move assets around. I know a guy in Ontario, which is very hostile towards men, who's been married twice, and he got married a 3rd time last year. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, where's your head at? And we were sitting at a table over dinner with a couple of other business owners. And one of the guys just like chimed in. He's like, okay, you don't understand his scenario. Like he owns nothing. Like he's moved everything out of his name. He's got nothing to lose. The rest of his family owns it, or it's in family trust. So if this one doesn't work out, he's good. Like he's solid. He's still got it all. So some people figure out how to maneuver that slippery slope. But at your age, dude, like you're leaning too far into asking about vulnerable questions that you really don't even need to start thinking about right now. Like you should be asking questions like, what am I doing here with this business? Where's it going to go? Worrying about her level of income, or if it's too low or for families is much lower than yours. Just make sure that you're clear about your what you're willing to accept in your life, because you're going to get what you are willing to tolerate. So don't date that far down, right? I mean, I know guys mostly date based on looks, whereas women, select more based on the success value of the guy. But you can apply some of that logic to your own life too. Like, why not?
So I got a question for you, Rich. And yeah, you're right that divorce is a game for the very rich who won't be affected by the cost of it, or the very poor. So, John Cleese can lose half of his fortune and it doesn't really change his lifestyle.
Yeah, he's
You
done it
can
like
lose half of it.
right?
Yeah. Or the guy who has nothing can lose half of nothing, and he's still in the same spot. So yeah, if it's in the middle that you got to be careful. But the caller mentioned that there's a family business here. So if he goes into this without a prenup, is he putting the family business in jeopardy?
Potentially, yeah, yeah. So again, you'd want to talk to a family lawyer in your area, but
may I interject?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was also concerned about, Dr. Smith, was my family's business is, let's just say, God forbid, if something were to happen, if we were to divorce later down the road. I mean, that's what I was also concerned about too. But based on what you were saying, Richard, like before I were to ever get married, I can ask an attorney about scenarios like this.
Yeah,
and how to protect myself.
Yeah, so if you run a corporation, and I think I heard you say it's a small bit, like a large small business. So I'm guessing it's probably doing a couple $1 million a year.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's ways to structure it where you're probably going to pay some money to a corporate lawyer and your accountant to structure a holdco between you and the main business. And then you can dividend money from the main business to your holdco. And there's all kinds of other things that you can do, like create, like here in Canada, we had this program which is kind of wound down where you could basically take a life insurance policy out against the key holder, and then you can move some money around at a much lower tax rate. So there's all kinds of things that you can do once the business is large enough. So if your parents have like focused on kind of growing the large business, and then like the next step is, okay, I can see this thing continue to snowball and grow. There's some planning that you should be doing along the way. So if and when you do decide to get married, if that's what your plans are, if it doesn't work out, the business is separate from that, and she would have no rights to anything there. And there's ways to do that. I mean, it's complicated. You're going to need a good corporate lawyer and a good accountant, but you find those and you should be good.
And there's another reason to opt for a prenup that doesn't get a lot of press. And that's the fact that if you two split up, you divorce, you're not only going to be dealing with her, you're going to be dealing with her family and her circle. So that's why it's so important to get into her circle during that vetting period. And if you get any whiff of avarice or envy or just something, weird energy about money, that's a really dangerous sign, because they're going to be whispering in her ears during the divorce.
Yeah.
Right. That was one thing I noticed with my ex-girlfriend from a couple years back. Her sister just would always mishandle money. She would go shopping just because she was bored. And, now I see the signs of I've learned a lot more through vetting through you guys. So I learned that it's a red flag I knew it was a red flag, but I wasn't red pill aware back then. So now I know much better. So thank you guys for that. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks, man. All right, let's let that one go. And just to kind of go a little further down that one, just a little bit more, you want to protect yourself from any kind of litigious actions as well. So I know in the States, the corporations and people are generally speaking more litigious than what they are in Canada. But even here, you want to structure your business so that the corporate shield can't be pierced. And you can do that by structuring the way that the business is run, the way that the holdco is run between you and the corporation. So there's some distance made. And so the distance isn't just to make sure you don't get, run through the divorce machine and lose half your shit, including your business. It also prevents or protects you further from anybody trying to pierce the corporate shield and come at you personally by putting some distance there. So if anybody's running a business themselves, if they're an entrepreneur, they should be speaking to their corporate lawyer and an accountant about structuring the business in such a way when you have enough revenue. And again, like 98% of businesses never pass $1 million a year. But once you're doing about $5 million a year or so, you should be looking at ways to structure your corporation so that you limit your tax obligations, so that you limit your risk exposure to being sued, so you limit your exposure to losing half your shit. If you get run through the divorce machine, there's a whole bunch of reasons behind it, but that just kind of scratches the surface. Okay, so to kind of go back here to the calls, I'm going to come back to the calls in a second. We got somebody that joined on from the community. So the way this works here on the show, we'll get the super chats in a second too. The way that it works on the show is I'll post the join link to the community on YouTube on the community tab before I launch the show, and in my men's community. So this will give you guys front row access before the callers. So Gene Simon, if you want to unmute yourself, I saw that you put a message there. Can I get in with the caller?
Yeah, just to talk about what the caller was talking about.
Yeah.
I myself am like, my family have their own businesses, family businesses.
Yep.
And so I would have had the caller if like what the big thing, the reason why he will have called for that is if his parents are talking to him about being careful with who is getting with it, because they don't want it to bring all the family business down with a eventual divorce.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, like, your family should have a say in who you get involved with if you're tied into the family business, although it's kind of difficult. But yeah, you're making a valid point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we go to the clergy for their blessing to get married. We should be going to the corporate attorney.
Yeah. As unromantic as it sounds, your corporate attorney, as much of a bean counter as he's going to be and cross the T's and dot the I's, he's not going to make it easy for you because he's going to point to all the risks. I mean, they're always going to be there. It's just the way the world works. I mean, men are exposed to these risks whenever you get tied into family law and stuff like that.
So
Cool.
that was my only point.
Yeah. Did you have a question as well, or you just want to add to that point too?
No, that's
cool.
it.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll let you go.
So we got a question there, Rich.
Yeah, we got a
couple questions.
So FTS says, question: I was offered a job that would require me to move away from my son, who's 13. I am currently in a custody battle for 50% visitation. Advice. What do you think, Sean?
Why would you leave your son at 13? There's a million jobs out there. You got one son that's 13 years old. He needs you now. He needs you for the next 8-10 years in his life.
Yeah, I would co-sign that, because as soon as you move away, you're going to limit your access to your kid. And stop using that word visitation. I hate that word. I hate when people use visitation. You should never have visitation rights to your own child. They're your child. You don't have visitation rights to them, okay? You have rights. You have parenting rights and obligations, not visitation, like you're in jail or something like that. Don't use that word. Stop it. Conk, thanks for the super chat. He says, some money in the jar to remind Dr. Sean of his YouTube channel. We need more content from you. You have too much info and experience to go to waste. Sean, why aren't you producing content on your corner?
Oh, I got all kinds of excuses and reasons, but I do have something in the hopper that I'm working on. I'm working on a video about avoiding dangerous encounters with women, and it's nascent, but I'll get it done one of these days. I appreciate the encouragement.
Yeah. Thanks, Corey. Davy says, I'm 23 and about to move out from my parents' house to rent my own place, but with the cheapest deal possible, I'll spend about 80% of my salary on rent expenses. Is this heading towards a train wreck? Yes, it is, sir. Do not spend 80% of your income on rent expenses. Aim for like 30%. If it's 80%, find yourself some roommates and get it down to like 30% if you can. That's way too high. You shouldn't be spending that much on living expenses, or just stay home until you got the income to get your own place. Me personally, I lived with roommates until I was 30. Honestly, I mean, as embarrassing as that sound, it didn't stop me from dating. It didn't stop me from doing much, and it really lowered my cost of living. And when I got laid off, when I bought my first house, I didn't have any income whatsoever. But at the time, I had roommates that were covering my mortgage. So, I mean, figure it out. But that's way too high in my estimation.
How much was your first rent, Rich?
I'm trying to think. My first was when I came back from England, and my parents were moving to England because half my family moved there. Like my dad moved there to find a job and kind of set up a life. My mom sold the house here in Canada. And when I came back, because I didn't want to live there, I was living with my best friend's mom.
Okay.
And another friend that rode back from California on his motorcycle. And I think I was paying something like $60 or $80 a week. It was peanuts.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was fun though. You know, she had a pool in the backyard. She was never home. She was always out with her boyfriend. We just partied at the place. It was great.
My first rent was $200 for a little attic apartment. And it was in an attic. So you could only really stand up straight in the middle of the room.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But it was cheap.
Good deal. Tom, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate that. Let's see if we got some callers here. So 504, we're coming at you right now. Where do we go here? Here we go. All right. You are on. Can we get a first name so at least we can make one up if you don't want to give your real name? Doesn't matter.
You can call me Fang.
Fang?
Fang, like a tooth. Yeah.
Okay, Fang.
You helped me out a few weeks ago. Fang Bozen was my... I did a super chat with you.
Okay.
About divorce burnout.
Yeah.
And I appreciate all that you and Dr. Smith do for the manosphere.
I appreciate the honorific. You guys should call me Sean, please.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said I appreciate the honorific, but you just call me Sean.
Okay. Well, I'm a doctor too in a way, so I always like to give the respect where I can. So
I appreciate it.
I'm a dentist. I've got my own business. This is not so much a money with women train wreck problems. It's more of a business related thing. And I just wanted to talk to you about it because I'm in the process of going through the divorce machine at the moment, but I'm also very unsatisfied in my current relationship with my business partner. And, you know, I've always been kind of a beta guy, and I've gotten some red pill awareness over the last couple of months. And
so what's happening with the
I'm
business
at this
partner
point now where I feel like I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. So what's happening with the business partner? Like why the spidey sense is tingling?
Oh, it's just he's extremely frugal. He's like a 1950s kind of old soul where it's all about cost cutting, but it's not about production. And, you know, he's on me about material use, things like that. And
You're a little bit muffled.
Kind of
Can you
like
get the microphone closer to your mouth on your phone?
I'm sorry. Let me change it to my earbuds. I'm sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
He's is that better?
Much better. Thank you.
Is that okay? Sorry about that. He's very frugal. He's a 1950s old soul type guy, even though he's born in the early 70s. I'm bicentennial 76 kid, but he's very frugal. Gets on to me about material use and all that stuff, but I'm the more productive partner in this business. And at this point, I'm like, I can't, because he's such the alpha persona, I'm having issues with staff and saying to him, look, I can make more money than this. I need the tools in order to do so that way I can handle what I've got to handle in my divorce accords that are going through right now. So I'm trying to negotiate possibly 2 divorces, one for my wife and one for my business partner. I didn't know if you had any.
Does your business partner own the majority stake in the practice?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Does your business partner own the majority stake in the practice?
No, we're 50-50 partners technically,
okay.
according to the articles of organization.
Yeah. So my recommendation would be to let the dust settle with the divorce first.
The production collection numbers, I do more than he does.
Okay, but
so I have probably more basis.
Got it. But I mean, here's the thing: you're going through the divorce machine, and your wife's entitled to half. So you're far better off letting him hold the 50% interest in the business until the dust settles and the ink's dry on the paper, and then you can buy him out afterwards, right? And then that way, it's not going to complicate your whole divorce settlement.
Sell. Part of me is thinking about just selling, just get rid of it.
Oh, selling your interest to him, you mean?
Set up tent stakes. Yeah, selling it to him. You know, because there's still quite a bit of not a huge amount of liability for the original build out and construction.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to negotiate 2 different sets of landmines at the same time. And I didn't know if you'd had any experience with that with a business partner who's a nice enough guy and you appreciate him as a person, but you know, knowing that you're going through the divorce machine the way you did with your businesses, I didn't know if you had any insight on how to make the possibility of selling it in order to even get even a meager cash sum in order to be able to settle things like alimony, you know, upfront alimony or something like that, just to be done with the other half on the personal side.
What does your lawyer say about it? Like, have you asked him about that specific detail?
With that. Say that again. I'm sorry, Rich.
What does your lawyer say, Fang? Because I mean, you're asking a legal question, right?
Yeah, he's not. I mean, I've tried to talk to him about it, he's like, well, we don't know because I'm so early in the divorce side. Like, I've done my part for the discovery, but she has not come back with her part with her assets and all that kind of thing. So I'm kind of pre-negotiation.
Yeah, see, I got a question about that. I'm with Rich as far as divide and conquer. Don't take on both of these battles at once. But if you sell your interest now, how does that affect, you got a pile of money sitting there now. How does that affect the discovery and the negotiations with divorcing your wife?
Well, the way I'm looking at it is I'm figuring that with the drawn out timeline for both the divorce and corporate law, when it comes to how that works, I'm just looking to become unencumbered, so that way I can make myself my own middle point of origin. But I'm not sure how that works out. Maybe it's just because I'm going through my own personal midlife crisis at this point. I don't know, because I'm 42 but I'm young enough where I could start over, and still have something for myself when I get to retirement age. But I don't know.
Well,
maybe that's just me.
Well, here's the thing, right? I mean, before,
whatever.
if you look at divorce as an acrimonious process, which it really is, I mean, it's structured that way. I mean, you look at it like war, basically. But I mean, like, before you go to war with your opponent, you collect intel, right? Like, you don't go and launch an attack. Like, I'm pretty sure before they thought about invading Iraq, they probably got loads of intel, more than what they needed. So you're still waiting for the other side to submit their declaration of their assets, liabilities, income, blah, 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 and all that. So you need to wait for that before you can make a decision before going forward, and then consult with your lawyer and say, all right, now we know what the other side has. Would it be better to me to buy out my, partner here, or sell to my partner here? Or at what point would this make better sense? And then you can kind of, plan the strategy from there. Does that make sense?
I got you. That makes perfect sense.
All right.
So I got a quick question for you, caller. You're basically wanting to burn it all down and start over so you can be your own point of mental origin. Is that the only option? Is this really what you want to do, or do you want to stay where you're at in your business and confront the problem of this alpha-based partner that you got and find a way to become your own point of origin here? Because the reason I ask this is because if you don't master that problem now, it could very well crop up again in the future.
I've really thought about that, Doc, and my problem is that he is so set in his particular ways that, like, there's staff that I would fire tomorrow or yesterday even.
Yeah, this is why I don't like partnerships.
High sense of loyalty too. Yeah, and it gets to the point where it's like I can't deal administratively on the aspects of the business that I want to do because I get my knees cut out from under me by decisions that he makes.
So now you've learned what it's like to marry the wrong person. Now you're learning what it's like to sign up for a business partnership with the wrong person. So take the lessons from this.
Right. I'm good.
Yeah. Figure out what your exit strategy is, because
awesome.
Bitching about it's not going to solve it, right?
Exactly, and so that's why I'm trying to make those inroads to figure out how to get clear of all of it at this stage of the game. So, but I appreciate all you guys do.
Yeah.
For all of us other guys, and thank you very much. I appreciate you taking my call tonight.
All right, Fink. Thanks, man.
So very much.
All right, see you later.
Good luck.
Thank you. Bye bye.
All right, we got some space in the lines if you guys want to call in. 323-642-1618. Davy, to answer your question, 30% of income. So if you make $1,000 a month, don't spend any more than $300 on rent. That makes sense. I don't know, man. Like Sean, guys are masters of complicating their lives and justifying why they do it. It's like, wait for the intel to come in before you make your decision, right? I mean, you still have to wait for the other side. And it's like, everybody hopes that there's some, like, I have a drawer here. Let's open up the drawer and we'll grab the crystal ball and look into it and let's give them the right answer. It's like, you got to wait for some more information to come in before you pull the trigger and make your call on it. You don't want to be preemptive, right? I mean, get some idea what your options are with your family lawyer, with your corporate lawyer. And when the numbers come back, you probably have some idea, unless she's been hiding something from you the whole marriage, and then decide from there, and then just plan a strategy and live what it is. You know, I've been subscribing a lot more to Stoicism lately, Sean.
Mhm.
And there's a great channel, I think it's called Daily Stoic. Ryan Halliday's in it. I promoted it in my men's community the other day. Amor fati, you know, basically the Latin translation is the acceptance or love for whatever is, you know, is a way that it loosely, you know, translate. Just accept shit, you know, for the way that it is, and you kind of like deal with it accordingly. Just love the scenario that you got. You get lemons, make a lemon meringue pie, man. I like pie.
I like pie. And people get impulsive once they decide that they're going to make a change. And especially guys. Guys are notorious for this. They decide at some point in life that they got to burn it all down and start over. And that's fine. But, you know, just be thoughtful about it. Like once you make that decision, you don't need to rush in with the flamethrower. You can collect a little bit of intelligence. That's why I was asking questions about it. You know, you sell this business. How does that affect the divorce? Like, let's gather more information here. Yeah, make your change, but don't make it in the next 10 seconds.
100%. And I can't remember what the legal term is. My brother's a licensed legal professional. I just can't remember what the hell it is for the life of me. But basically, if you make any changes within 2 years to the date of something like a divorce or a bankruptcy or a settlement or something like that on a debt, they can turn back the. I think it's called fraudulent conveyance. So if you manufacture a way to hide certain things, they can move the clock back in time to up to 24 months earlier. That's the general theme. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not giving legal advice, but you certainly just want to be aware of that too.
Yeah, this whole topic is interesting. It's interesting how it's going in two different directions. Like there's the legal stuff that you have to think about if you've got any kind of business connections and so forth, and you're bringing a woman into your life. And then there's just the not so cut and dried risk management stuff about vetting her. And you really got to be attending to both of these topics.
Definitely. All right, guys, we got some more callers here. Call-in lines are open, 323-642-1618. Actually, before we go in, we got Corey on. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing, man?
Doing all right. So I've been thinking about, while we're talking about this, and I brought up at the beginning in the chat, was talking about women are the consumers by nature. And so I always play devil advocate to myself and everyone else just to make sure I get the the full view.
Yep.
And I was thinking the one exception to that is there's a lot of minimalism blogs on YouTube and otherwhere, and most of them are by females. And so, but thinking about it, I can't think of any of them that weren't married either. So that got me into thinking about if women are consumers by nature and they go into the frame of somebody with a strong frame that's also a minimalist, that go into that. But I don't think I've ever seen a single girl minimalist on her own, if that makes sense.
I haven't met too many minimalist women, if I'm being honest. I mean, the problem is well, the beauty usually comes with extravagance. Not always, but a lot of the times. They kind of go hand in hand. More minimalist women are definitely harder to find. They're out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it was something I've been dabbling and thinking about, is the alternative of, is there any minimalist women? Because there's a lot of statistics saying women are the consumers. So I can't think of any single women that are forwarding on that and are popular in any way on YouTube or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch minimalist channels. I did a video at one point on my channel on minimalism. I know it got a lot of views. I think it was just kind of like luckily timed around the time there was something on Netflix about minimalism, and it was like a documentary about a couple of guys that went through a minimalist lifestyle. I mean, people go, well, Rich, you're not a minimalist because you have, 1,000 horsepower cars and all this other shit you spend money on. But realistically, I mean, I don't spend that much money on stuff, right? I mean, I'm a big advocate of experiences, even though I do like some stuff. I mean, yeah, my poison is fast cars. Okay, I get it. But I much rather prefer experiences, man. And I think that guys should really vet for that. I mean, if you got a chick that's like, I want this, that, and the other thing, before anything happens, or I think Rollo said on a post once, he said, make sure that if you propose to her, you don't show her a ring when you propose to her. You can show her the ring afterwards, because if she declines a proposal based on the ring and you get tied up into that vortex, it's all about getting, her whims to, well, Sally got a 1.8 carat ring. Why isn't my ring at least that? Like this is insufficient, this half carat ring sort of thing.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I mean, in my estimation, I would not get involved with any woman that lives an extravagant lifestyle. One or two the extravagant lifestyle relies on your financial situation, because you're going to be on the hook to maintain that if it doesn't work out, right?
Yeah. And I was putting earlier talking about the caller that had the family business, and he's worried about that. Because before he said it was 80,000, but before that he was saying he had a lot of money or is successful for where he is. So my first thought was gold digging, like make sure hide your income and don't flaunt your wealth, and to try to pre-bat away any kind of gold digging.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you could do that with 80,000. That's before he said that, but
yeah. Sean, you're sitting quietly there with a muted microphone.
Yeah, I was thinking about, just on that last point, I was thinking about it. Guys used to wear their money, right? Like you in the early 19th century, you'd see the pictures of guys, the big industrialists, and they would wear fine clothes and they would be finely groomed and they would wear these top hats and so forth. There's no mistaking the guy who is dressed for the coal mine from the guy who is dressed to go to the office and make a lot of money. And now it seems like guys have learned to camouflage themselves, because you can't, it's just society in general. You can't really flaunt your wealth because you're the bad guy if you have money. But I wonder how much of it is also that guys need to feel like they need to hide their bank account from women. And I've met a lot of guys who have this question: how soon and how much do I let her know about my money? And my answer is always, well, not soon and not much. She's got to earn that information.
Yeah, earn that information. Yeah. Makes sense.
It's really good. And you also look at the new tech bubble, like the CEOs and all of that. Like the days of suits and gold watches is kind of over. They're all kind of in flip-flops and board shorts over in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, half the time you would know a millionaire walking by if you saw him. I mean, there's always somebody that makes fun of cargo shorts and flip-flops.
Yeah.
There's always somebody that makes fun of cargo shorts and flip-flops. And you know what I rock in the summertime? My cargo shorts and flip-flops.
Oh, yeah.
F's do I give? Absolutely zero. I know who I am and I know what's in my account. I don't need to prove shit to anybody.
Mm-hmm. All righty. Well, thanks guys for that.
All right. Thanks, Corey.
No problem.
All right. Let him go. Thanks, man. I always appreciate it when he chimes in. He's one of the good guys out there. I think we got some calls here. Let's see where we're at. All right. 387. Let's throw you on the air. See what you got going on. All right. 387, you're on. Can you hear us?
Hello?
There you go.
Hello?
You're on.
Hey, this is Rob.
How you doing, Rob?
Oh, great. Hey, Rich, I just want to say thank you for having my call, and you do great work. Thank you so much. And Dr. Smith, thank you. I have your audio book.
Thank you.
Kind of direct, too much time. How do alternatives to take a woman out on a date that doesn't seem to be inexpensive, because I don't want to spend a lot of money, investment, to find out in an hour I don't like this woman. So do you have any ideas that I could take a woman out but have it be relatively inexpensive?
I have some ideas, but I want Sean to go first.
Where do you live?
Brooklyn, New York.
And what do you like to do?
A lot of stuff, outdoor stuff. I mean, I can go to the museum, but it's just, I don't want her to think that I'm taking her out on a cheap museum for free date,
Yeah. Well, I would just do what you want to do. And if the ideal kind of women that are going to come into your life, they're going to want to do what you want to do. So go on a hike. It's also a great opportunity to see how hiking in particular is a great opportunity to see how women deal with a little bit of discomfort.
Yeah.
Right.
I just came back from a hiking trip last weekend.
Awesome. First of all, love the Brooklyn accent. It's probably one of the best out there. But here's my take on it. And I certainly echo what Sean's saying, do what you want to do. You want her to enter your frame anyway, right? I mean, you want her to complement your life, not be the focus. So why aren't you doing what you want to do? If you get chicks that come at you with buy me dinner, you get chicks that want you to send them money, before you even buy them dinner. Those are all no's. My go-to advice for guys on this is Shouldn't cost you any more than a couple cups of coffee and a stroll in the park, a hike, whatever it might be, for two reasons. One, you want to do the sniff test, right? I mean, you want to see what she's about. You want to limit it to about an hour so you're not spending too much time on something that might eat up your time too. If it goes really well, she's going to have some anxiety about wanting to see you again because you're going to cut it short. You're a man of demand. You're a man of vision and purpose. You got stuff you got to do. You have to move on from it. So it makes you look good in that sense too. But at the same time, hikes are great because all it costs you is a cup of coffee, a stroll in the park. You get some alone time. Usually if you're going for a hike with a chick, she's probably going to wear yoga pants, which is, I mean, like I like a nice bump. So it's always a good way to assess the legs and all that sort of stuff. Check that out. So that would be my go-to thing for it. And, you know, if she says no, or I only go out on dates if you're going to buy me drinks, or it's got to be in the evening, or I want a sit down meal and I want you to feed me, go to the next guy. See you later. Does that make sense?
Okay. Hey, yeah, thanks a lot. Like I said, I don't want to keep too much of your time.
All right, man.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for calling in.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, guys, just don't complicate your first dates. Keep it simple.
Yeah. And I like the hour limit too.
Yeah.
A short hike.
Yeah. I mean, if it's not going well, you've made an hour commitment. If it's going well, you're a man of demand. You got stuff going on. I mean, you've set a clear time limit, and there's going to be some anxiety and anticipation from her to want to see you again. Why is this guy leaving after an hour? What's he got going on? Is he working? Does he have other girls on the go? Is he spinning plates? Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. I mean, unless you got plans to do like if you're one of the guys that wants to do a same night lay, then a hike's not going to serve that purpose. But if you're just kind of dating and you want to, sniff what's out there, to me, it's one of the best ways to do it. Coffee, go for a stroll. Doesn't cost you anything. You get to check her out in some leggings. Boom. Everybody wins.
Well said.
See what we got here for calls. All right. Lines are open, guys. 323-642-1618. Let me just copy and paste it in real quick. And we can talk about more than just women with money problems too, fellas. Call in on other stuff. Again, 1-323-642-1618. The lines are not busy tonight. In fact, I have nothing in queue right now. How about that? That's different.
It's unusual. Yeah. Maybe it's because it's summertime out there now.
Summertime. 600 guys watching. Okay, so while we're waiting for somebody to queue up, how about smashing the like button, showing some love to the channel? Also going to let you know, the text to win contest ended June 1st. So there should have been a notice that went out of the winner. You'll need to email me. There's instructions in a text that went out to you to claim the prize. And thanks to everybody else that competed. We'll probably put out another one as well, announcing it next week. I just haven't had a chance to contact the provider to set up the next one. But that went pretty good. Also, shout out to the channel sponsor, Scott, my man. Appreciate you. Grondike Soap Company, Tactical Soap. Also, got a sore back. This beard oil is awesome. Look at that handsome face on it. Okay. You like the channel, you have a beard. Even if you don't have a beard, you're showering anyway. You might as well use something that supports the creation of content. There's a link pinned in the description. If you check out with coupon code Cooper, you'll get 10% off. Also, another announcement real quick. Lines are still open, 323-642-1618. We're going to be uploading these as a podcast going forward, guys. Big announcement. So make sure you follow me on social media. The links are, of course, in the channel. I'm going to link the podcast once it's been uploaded. This will, we're hoping, be the first episode. So got the sponsor lined up. It's going to be uploaded very, very soon. Keep an eye out for it on social media, and you'll get all the links for it there. We're just going to call it before the train wreck. And I know some people have asked about it because they don't have time to watch. They want to listen while they're driving or at work. So there you go. All right, we got a caller on. 606. Let's throw you on. All right, 606, you're live.
Yeah, good afternoon, guys.
How you doing?
Good. I'm doing great, actually. Hey, quick question. I brought this topic up on one of the Q&As with Rollo, and he gave me really good advice. I'm in a LTR right now with a girlfriend. I'm a single dad. She takes care of me. She's really, she's head over heels with me, but she's going to be going to school pretty soon. She's a nurse right now, so she makes pretty good money. I have a blue-collar job. We make pretty much about the same right now. I'm pretty high up in my position, but she's going to be going to school next year. to expand her career. And from what she's told me, she's going to be making a lot more. And I wanted to get your guys' opinion on how do you guys see that? I mean, I don't want to jump the gun or anything like that, but my question to Rollo before was, how does income have to do with hypergamy? She is in the nursing field, and he expressed like she's going to be around doctors, she's going to be around, you know, high status men. My best thing to do is to just be the best or the elite at what I do, which, you know, I'm really trying, but being a single dad and having my son pretty much, you know, 50% of the time, if not more, takes up pretty much everything that I have as far as free time goes. So I'm kind of stuck, and he's 3 years old right now. He's got probably another 2 years till he goes to some kind of school or preschool. So I'm kind of just like in limbo mode right now, just being, you know, the best dad that I can be. But my income is somewhat stagnant, other than the typical, you know, 3 or 4% raise that I would get every year.
So how much more money is your girl going to make when she gets this upgraded degree or whatever it is she's getting?
So roughly right now, she's making without overtime about 65 or so. She says that after the degree, depending on which hospital she goes into and what shift, she'd be making close to 100, if not more.
All right, Sean, what do you think?
And what do you make?
65. I make about 65, 70, depending if I get overtime or, you know, how the year turns out.
So that's one variable in your sexual market value. What number would you give yourself? Scale of 1 to 10.
Around her, I act like I'm a 10. Realistically, I would say 6.
Where would you put her SMV on the scale of 1 to 10?
I would say maybe a 5.
Why is that?
Well, I didn't say she's a single mom also. Her daughter's a little older though. She had her when she was fairly young, and the dad's in the picture. Responsible guy. He has her a lot of time. So that's why I go off of that.
Right, so when you met her and started dating her, was she single?
Yes. Yeah, she actually hadn't been in a relationship for a good while. She was just working on her career and just building herself up.
All right. So you're worried about hypergamy, and hospitals are interesting places, and a lot of stuff goes down, as I'm sure you know. But hypergamy applies nicely.
And don't dance around it. So what goes down in hospitals?
Oh, people hook up. It's a high stress environment.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of sick people. There's a lot of very successful doctors too, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of good-looking, successful doctors. I've got a buddy of mine is a surgeon, and he gets a lot of attention from nurses. So
there you go. Okay.
And other people in the hospital. But anyway, hypergamy is an interesting concept for populations, and it certainly is a real thing. But what overrides population type variables is individual variables. And so I would look more at her personal history than women in general. So yes, she is a woman in general, but she also has her personal history. And if it says that she tends to value devotion and a peaceful home life, then that probably overrides whatever concerns you might have about hypergamy. But if her marriage ended on some kind of cheating note, then
so why did the marriage end? So that's the next question. Why did the marriage end?
Well, she wasn't married.
Why did the relationship end?
I guess they fell apart, and he cheated on her, she cheated on him, kind of deal.
Well, okay. She's a woman.
She said she was 18 at the time, or 19.
Mm-hmm.
And
why'd she cheat on him?
And I thought,
what's the reason she gives for cheating on him?
I took all of that into consideration. And I just kind of said, okay, you know what? I've screwed up myself. My marriage ended because my ex-wife cheated on me. And
okay, so let's just stop for a second.
whatever.
I know there's a bit of a delay with the audio, but Sean asked you the question, why did she cheat on him?
Mm-hmm.
I asked specifically, what's the
Well,
reason she gave for cheating on him?
yeah, and that's the thing that she expressed to me, is that they were both very young. He was very immature. He wasn't being a dad. He didn't have a job, and she just needed him to step up, and he was just not. He had a lot of personal things going on.
So that's
And
so that
she was
okay.
just
Hold on,
like-
hold on a sec. I just want to stop you because men are masters of complicating their lives and justifying why they do it. Just listen to what she said. He didn't
Mhm.
step up. He didn't, she wasn't there when she needed him, blah, blah, blah. Insert the story. This is hypergamy 101. Okay. She went and banged
Right.
somebody else because she didn't see him as being useful. That's also Berfolt's law, right? Like women only keep men around so long as they deem them to be useful. This is universal. There's no unicorns out there that crap rainbow Skittles and butterflies and all that sort of stuff. Women are women, the whole point of the red pill is not to hate
Right.
women. It's not to hate them for what they can never be to you, right? So if you're going to think for a minute that she's not going to monkey branch to the next guy if she can get a better deal, she's going to manufacture, like the story she's telling you about the ex is the same story she's going to tell the next guy about you, about why she left you, right?
Right.
So,
Unless she's doing some hard work to make some changes to herself.
Precisely, which I'm a little bit more, I'm not as like, I'm a little more skeptical than Sean. So let me just say it like this: be on your purpose. You get on your mission, you chase your excellence, and don't worry about what she's doing. If she's going to go and hoe around and do what she's going to do and, optimize her hypergamy, are you going to blame her if she hooks up with a surgeon that's making $500,000 a year, right? Like a plastic surgeon will make $1 million a year. I don't know where you live, but I mean, like, they can make bucks
Right.
deluxe, and you're not going to compete with that at 60 grand a year. So why even worry about it? Just be on your purpose, get on your mission, do your shit. If you can find a way to make more money, go do it. If she bounces on you, she bounces on you. But the story that she told you about the guy that fathered the child is going to be the next story she tells the next guy about why she left you. It's just going to be manufactured. I mean, you can just expect it to come. I'm going to shut up now and let Sean go.
No, I don't just disagree with any of that. And I'm not quite as cynical as you are. I do think that people grow and change because I see it happen. But what I'm hearing from you, and I didn't get your first name,
That's what I was
caller.
gonna say.
What I'm hearing from you is, number one, you've got a history of being cheated on. Number two, she's got a history of cheating. Number three, your intuition is talking to you about something dark might be on the horizon. And so I think you listen to your intuition, you follow Rich's advice, and you just keep your head on a swivel, be the best, follow your purpose.
Nothing is going to be more attractive.
And that's pretty much.
Yeah. So nothing is going to be more unattractive to her right now than you becoming skeptical, jealous, going into make-out mode,
right.
calling her like 72 times a day when you barely even talk to her daily right now. Like that'll just turn her right off. So
yeah, that's a really good point. I hadn't even thought about that, because this dynamic already exists between where you have your history and she has hers. That is a real risk that you start acting kind of desperate around her.
Yeah. So just be aware of that. Like,
No, I've really taken all of your. Yeah, and I was going to say, I just to touch on what the doctor was saying about the being cynical. I wanted to. At first, she was just like a plate, one of the girls that I was dating and doing stuff with, and then I really started looking at how she was, with me, and I was like, well, hey, this bothered me, and I understand that, everybody's got their past, but she was pretty upfront about it. She said, I could have lied about it. And I was like, well, yeah, you're right. You could have lied about it. And I was being more of a optimist and thinking, okay, she was clearly right out of high school. She went, and took the bull by the horns.
Stop making excuses for female nature. Don't stop it. Stop making excuses for female nature. Women are women. Okay. There's no unicorns out there. Given the right circumstances and the right scenario, all women will optimize their hypergamy if they feel that they can get a better deal. It is what it is. You just can't get around it. The only thing that you can control in the universe is yourself. Focus on that. Don't worry about, calling into the next show. Well, Rolo said this, and then Rich and Sean said that. And then you call the next go. Like, stop worrying about what she's up to. Do your thing. And if you want to make sure that you've got access to higher quality women and women that aren't going to bounce on you, just be a higher quality dude, man, and not focus on, well, she's going from 60 grand to 100 grand plus, and she's going to be around surgeons that make $1 million a year. So now I'm effed. What am I going to do? Do your thing, man. Do you.
Yeah. So Rich, I get to the exact same conclusion that you just stated. I just get there a different way. Like hypergamy, I see hypergamy. I also see women that go to heroic lengths to save stupid relationships.
Yeah,
So yeah, I see
totally.
women that stay with losers and they shouldn't. But anyway, that aside, I get to the same conclusion. So Colin, let me ask you, what is your mission? Where are you going to be in 5 years? Irrespective of her.
There you go. Now we're getting
Well,
some stuff.
before my divorce, I had my own side hustle. I had a small business going. I wanted to have my own shop. I'm a mechanic by trade.
Nice.
And I was working on it. I had a client base growing and everything, and then pretty much found out that I was working too much, and the ex decided that she needed attention from somebody else. And that's pretty much what happened. And I accepted it. I said, okay, I got to start back up from zero, shut that down, and started dating around just with whatever little time I had. Went through everything, got my boy, got my house. So I'm just moving forward, but I understand.
What does moving forward mean? Where are you going to be in 5 years?
I'm an entrepreneur, and that's really where I'm going. Whatever I can do to have my own business, to start my own legacy, to just get my name out there, that's my thing. How it looks in the near future, well, I can expect anything now. So
what kind of mechanic are you?
Cut. What was that?
What kind of mechanic are you?
Truck mechanic.
So how much should you be making? 65 seems low, but I don't know.
Well, it's not. It's pretty good for in my area. I mean, okay. I'm in Arizona. I mean,
okay,
pretty decent for this position.
And sorry, you said she's moving away to upgrade her skills.
My schedule would be a lot crazier, and as it stands right now, I have a lot of benefits. And the schedule is just what I need with my boy, and that's why I'm a little in a stuck position.
Yeah,
but
fair enough.
Blessing it in disguise.
Yeah, and just real quick, so sorry, you said she's moving away to upgrade these skills. Where's she moving to?
No. She's not moving away.
Okay, so she's staying in town.
She's just going she's just going to college to expand on her career.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, just like do your thing, man. Like I did this event about 5 or 6 years ago in Toronto. We've got one Ferrari dealership here. The guy that owns his name is Remo Ferri, and he came here from Italy. I think he said in the 50s or 60s. Like he's an older guy, and he started out as a motorcycle mechanic, and then he moved into working on Italian cars. Then he worked on a Ferrari dealership. Then he got the licensing rights to a Ferrari dealership. The guy's a multimillionaire, right? Like he runs a race team here now. He owns the only license agreement to the Toronto area for the Ferrari dealership. So like, mechanics can make bank too. I have a friend down in the States that runs 6 different mechanic shops. He doesn't work. I mean, he was a licensed mechanic, but now he's running shops. So he shifted from operator to owner, right? So it's just, you got to get your head around the mindset of chasing excellence, putting your dent in the universe, not worrying about what she's doing. I mean, if you get caught up in what she's doing all the time, you're not going to get anything done, man. You're going to lose sleep. You're always going to be worried. Am I ever good enough? Is she going to cheat on me? Is she going to do to her baby daddy, do it to me sort of thing? Like, what's the next story going to be? Don't worry about those things, man. Do you. Work on you. Cool?
Amen.
All right. Thanks for calling in.
Got it, man.
All right. That's one that's bound to come up every once in a while. Let me grab the super chat here. Let me just scroll up. Can you guys talk about dating in the workplace? Dating a girl who is in a management role. Age gap is me, 30. So he's 30, she's 45. They work together in a business consulting firm. Dangerous. What do you think, Sean?
I think if Tom hadn't paid for this question, I would think he was trolling us because he knows who he's talking to. He knows that we're going to say, number one, this is not a tenable age difference, and it's not good to dip your pin in the company ink.
Yeah, 15 years older than you in the same company. Dating? Really? You want to date a 45-year-old when you're 30?
I'd like to know more about this situation.
Yeah. Call in, man.
Yeah.
The lines are open. Call in. 323-642-1618. Okay, let's go to 627 here. All right, 627, you're on the air. You got a question?
Hey guys, love the work, love the community.
Thank you.
Just want to call in because we're talking about, obviously a channel of entrepreneurs and cars, but I wanted to know your guys' opinion on women and what they drive, because in different scenarios, I've dated everybody from business professionals that have brand new rides, brand new Fords, come home, they're broke. I've dated vet techs that drove a 15-year-old car, have a nice home, money in the bank. But I just want to hear your guys' opinion on the whole subject.
Well, that's an interesting question. Women don't really put a lot of thought into cars the way that men do. Like, I'll use this example. A BMW M4, optically speaking, to a woman is no different than a 430, which is the base series. But 80% of the components on the M4 are different than the base series 4 series, even though there's probably about a 30 or 40% price premium. So while a guy might spend the extra bank for the motorsport division car, women don't care. They don't care about the M badges. They don't care about the 12 M badges that are on the car. They don't care about the 50% power increase. They don't care about the better lap times about the Nürburgring. They don't even care about the seating or the interior or any of that. As long as it's got the BMW roundel, that badge on the front of the car, you're good. Okay. Now, I think generally speaking, women don't want to spend that much money on cars because they tend to spend it on handbags and shoes. And for the most part, when you're getting into a woman's car, it's not their pride and joy, versus men that are car guys where we'll like spend an entire day, put it on 3 coats of wax like I did, a couple weekends ago. They just don't do that. They don't care. It's not where they're going to put their money, right? I'm not really clear on the question. Like, what's the origin of the question? What's the story behind the story?
No, I was just wondering the opinion if it's something that you should look out for, like what they drive.
I wouldn't worry so much about what they drive and worry
and them judging us.
Well, that's the thing, because they will judge you on what you drive, but you're not allowed to judge them on what they drive. You can judge them on their looks. That's it. That's all you're allowed to judge them on, but you can't judge their car. But you should be judging, how they manage money. And you get involved with somebody that, doesn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, but they're leasing a brand new Mercedes for the optics sakes of it. I would question that, but women don't.
Caller, I think you gave yourself your own answer at the beginning, because you were talking about the woman who makes a lot of money and handles it poorly versus the woman who doesn't make a lot of money and handles it well. And that goes to her values about money. And Rich, to your point, women not paying attention to cars. And, my wife came home one day, she knows I like cars, and she said, "And I saw a Ferrari today." And I said, "Oh, what kind?" And she said, "Red."
A red one.
And I said, "That's not an answer." So she goes, "It was a Countach."
And for the non-car guys out there, a Countach is a Lamborghini.
Right.
All right. Thanks, man.
That's awesome. No, I was just asking like what your guys' were, your opinion on it. I was kind of giving you an example of my experiences, but
don't get hung up on the details.
I just want to know what you guys have to say.
Yeah, most women don't know shit about cars. I think I've dated one woman that knew maybe half as much as I did, and even I don't know that much. All right, man. Thanks. All right, let's grab the next caller. 776, going to throw you on the air. All right, 776, you're on.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. Fire away.
Had a question not related specifically to money, but strategies about, if you don't mind, I know you said the phones were a little light, but strategies around how to communicate to a woman that you're looking to date long-term, not spinning plates. But I have a gastrointestinal condition that can kind of flare up every once in a while. It can be a little embarrassing. I don't need to get into gory details unless you need me to. But if you want to look at taking a relationship with a woman to a little bit higher level where you're a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? Together, whatever, I can't think. But how would be a good way to talk about that in a way that doesn't really just completely tank any gains you've maybe made as far as your level, your SMV, things like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I just got to get a clarifying question in here. Like, are we talking like farting a lot, or are we talking about like sharding your pants?
More on the sharding end.
Okay. What do you think, Sean?
That's an interesting question. I've never encountered that question. How have you handled it in the past with other women?
It's a fairly recent thing. It's only been in the last year. I've had some health issues, and I'm just kind of now getting a solid handle on them, medically and metabolically. And
so is this a permanent condition?
Yeah, I mean, I've taken, the medicine you need to do. I've changed my diet up, and for the most part, it's under control. But when you're sick, times of high stress, the wind's blowing the wrong way one day, you could just all of a sudden have these attacks where you're constantly on the toilet, and it's bad. It can be bad.
Is this connected to anxiety for you?
Not that I'm a pretty low anxiety person. I think this came about because of some injuries and taking some painkillers and things like that for a back injury for a while, and this can be a reaction from
How old are you?
I shouldn't say a reaction. It's a latent thing that is onset by the medication.
And how old are you?
But then once it sets on, it's kind of there forever. 34.
34. Okay. You're kind of in the age range where women are going to start vetting for like husband material, and they're going to be looking at genetic issues, obviously. So, I mean, the more you can do to kind of like deal, like most of these diseases are curable in my estimation by just managing your diet, your exercise, and your environment. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not giving you kind of medical advice here, but I think that, if you kind of work those things out, then maybe start looking at getting on the sexual marketplace and dating. But I think anytime you mention that, dude, you're always going to expose yourself to them raising the eyebrow going, all right, well, I'm 30 years old and my eggs are drying up here and I got to find somebody, and this guy's not husband stock, right? You still on?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I'm worried about.
Yeah, that's a reality
sure,
of it, right?
You could date down.
Yeah. So rather than worry about what she's going to think of you as a potential LTR prospect, which is what your opening question is, I'd be looking into like medical answers, man. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do. Switch up your diet, whether you're going vegan, meatitarian. It doesn't matter, which way you go, and then dealing with the stress inputs. There's probably something. There's probably some answers there that you can fish out before you start worrying about what women are going to think of you. Who cares what they think of you?
Yeah, and there's also this topic of the question about everybody's coming into a relationship with something that they're dealing with, and sometimes it's visible the first time you meet somebody, sometimes it isn't, and everybody's got some kind of hidden problem that they're dealing with, and to some extent, it's going to be as big a deal as you make it out to be. If you let her know that, hey, I got this thing going on with my stomach, I'm working on it. Yeah, here's the basic. Don't give her all the gory details, but everybody's got something.
And I got Sam Bada in the chat comments here. If you don't know who he is, he was the voice of the Rational Male series. He put his number in there, but it's hidden. So I don't want his number to go out in the chat. So what I'd recommend you do is hit him up on his DMs on Twitter. So send him a direct message and then let him know, hey, I was a guy on Before the Train Wreck with Rich and Sean. How do I deal with this? He's dealing with some medical issues right now, and he's well-versed and has some good connections. So shoot him a message and see if he can help you out. He might have some answers for that because he seems to know what's going on there.
Okay, cool. I'll try that.
All right. Thanks, man. All right. Let's go to 502 here. All right. 502, you're up.
Hello?
Yep.
Hey, when would you file for bankruptcy if you're in a financial mess?
Sorry, your question is how would you solve a bankruptcy? Like, are you bankrupt right now? Are you going through a bankruptcy process, or what are you doing?
I mean, when would you decide to go through bankruptcy?
You generally decide to go through bankruptcy when you're insolvent, and the definition of that is you owe more than you own. So if you have $100,000 in unsecured debt and you own $40,000 worth of assets, then you're a candidate for bankruptcy. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes. What if you don't have any assets, though? Would you still file for bankruptcy?
Yeah, then you're insolvent. You can file for bankruptcy. Yeah. Where do you live?
Oregon.
Okay. So you got to talk to a bankruptcy attorney in your area then to find out, what the laws state. But generally speaking, if you're insolvent, which it sounds like you are, wipe the slate clean. I mean, as long as it's not student loan debt, because you can never go bankrupt with that. It's like, you keep that shit forever like luggage.
Yeah, I have some of that too.
Yeah. Do you have any questions around, Before the Train Wreck, kind of like anything else in your life right now, or is it just like the whole money thing with the bankruptcy?
Yeah, gambling addiction.
Yeah, fix that.
Any advice for that, or
Sean, you got any advice for gambling addiction?
Yeah, first of all, get into I forget what the group's called, but get into a 12-step program. Like, get around other people that are dealing with this and get yourself a good psychologist. You need a good psychologist in your corner, and you need that group. do both of those things.
Yeah,
Gamblers Anonymous. I think it's just called Gamblers Anonymous.
Sorry, go ahead.
I said I think it's just called Gamblers Anonymous.
Right.
Yeah.
But the gambling addiction itself isn't really about money, right? It's something else, something psychological.
Yeah, it's not about money. Money's a surface issue. It's a compulsive behavior. It's like kind of like an addiction. Like, what's the difference between an addiction and a compulsion? I don't know, but you've got something going on, and don't try to fight it alone.
All right.
All right, brother.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Good luck, man.
Bye.
All right. 670, you're up. All right. You're on 670. You got a question?
Hello?
Yeah.
You hear me?
You're on.
Okay, cool. Just to make a long story short, I'm hitting the 2-year mark of a really nasty, ugly breakup that I had with my ex. She was my one-night ex. And just a couple days ago, I ended up, close to the anniversary of us having broken up, I saw her. And we had exchanged, exchanged some words and caught up for a bit. And this problem I'm really having right now is I'm just trying to, I'm trying not to reminisce too much about her, but more so than that, it's like, as much as I thought I was done with her, over her as I thought I was, it's like some of those old feelings started to come back up again. And I'm having a hard time just not thinking on when we saw each other. And I'm having an even harder time, I'm making a conscious effort not to just contact her, because consciously I know it would be a bad idea, but it's like, it's not really a conscious thing as to the reason why I want to see her. I can't really explain it, honestly.
How long ago did you guys break up?
What was that?
How long ago did you guys break up?
Let's see. I want to say in a couple of weeks. It was sometime around this month, 2 years ago. So it's been almost 2 years.
Whoa, you guys broke up 2 years ago and you're still having feelings for this chick?
I really didn't feel it beforehand. I wasn't even thinking about it. It's like she showed up and it just came out of nowhere. I honestly can't explain it.
So what have you been doing for the last 2 years?
I'm dating someone else right now. What was that?
So what have you been doing for the last 2 years?
Well, I was just focusing on me. I work out. I started a side business as a mini entrepreneur, and I'm still dating. I'm dating a girl right now, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been going steady for the past 10 months or so.
Well, that's a cute story, but your actions say something totally different, though, right?
Excuse me?
I said it's a cute story, but your actions say something totally different. You're calling in tonight because you got one-itis from a girl you broke up with a couple years ago. Did you dump her? Or did she dump you?
She dumped me.
She dumped you, huh? What do you think, Sean?
So I got confused. She showed back up in your life recently?
Yeah, it was a friend of a friend was having a get-together at a coffee shop, and just to meet up. And this happens to be a coffee shop that, as she said, she frequents, and as she puts it, it was just by happenstance. She showed up and saw our mutual friends there.
Okay, so I'm guessing that the reason we're having this call is that you do not think it's a good idea to get back with her.
Please tell us it's so.
Yes, like I consciously know it, but it's not I consciously, I follow you guys, and I consciously know in my head, don't do this. It would do no good to try and reach out. It would do no good to try and even attempt to rekindle anything. But it's not a matter of what I consciously think. It's like I'm feeling like a compulsion to want to reach out to her. Like I should be compelled to reach out to her or try to.
Right. You ever heard the phrase of replacement behavior?
Can you did you say replacement behavior?
Have you ever heard of replacement behaviors?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so let me throw this at you, that some corner of your mind thinks that it would be the best thing in the world to get back to her. That's the irrational, emotional part of your mind wants to get back with her. The rational part of your mind is saying, this is not a good idea. And we want you following your rational part, not your irrational part. And so the task for you right now is not to frame this as a question about you and her. This is a question about you and your mind. And when your mind is saying to you, you got to get back to her, your job is to recognize what your mind is doing. It's actually trying to help you out, is trying to bring this woman back into your life because your mind thinks it would be a good idea. But what you're going to do instead is say, thank you, mind. I appreciate what you're doing here, but this is not the path we're going to take. And then you're going to find something else to do, and you're going to shift your frame of mind away from her onto something else. And that might mean that you get active and engaged with other people. You go out, you have a conversation with a buddy, you do something that is actively engaging so that that irrational part of your mind doesn't have so much of a chance to dwell on the idea of her, because the more you let your mind dwell on that idea, the more the pathways in your brain get laid down and the more you're going to dwell on her. So,
right.
Why did you guys break up, caller? Why did you guys break up? You said she broke up with you. So what happened?
I was weak.
You were weak.
I was a pushover. I was heavily blue-pilled.
Got it.
I thought I just believed in love for the sake of love.
Yeah. Well, I
truth.
completely co-sign what Sean's saying there. There was this monk by the name of Don DePani that showed up at an event that I was at a few years ago in Toronto. And he basically used that exact same lecture, but from a monk's perspective. And he talks about your awareness in your mind being like this ball of light that you can move around from place to place. Happiness, sadness, old memories, leaning forward into the future. And when you learn self-control and where to shine that ball of light, you can completely walk away from ideas, beliefs, old flings like that, just by using your awareness. What did he say? Energy goes where your awareness flows to, or something to that issue. So, like, you got one-itis for a chick from 2 years ago. That's some critical shit, right? Like, that's like, you got to kill the beta before it kills you, sort of conversation.
Right.
What stuff have you been diving into, when it comes to content like this? Like, have you read Sean's book? Have you gone through the Rational Male series? Like, where are you with your unplugging?
I've gone through all 3 Rational Male books. I just purchased Sean's book, actually.
How many times have you gone through?
No Mr. Nice Guy.
How many times have you gone through? How many times have you gone through Rollo's books?
I've gone through the first one 3 times, the second one 2 times, the last one once.
Okay, keep going, because there's stuff there that you're missing. It's like drinking from a fire hose. There's a lot there, and some of it's not getting in.
Yeah, and you might have noticed that the rational male is probably bouncing off that irrational part of your brain that doesn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's really important that you don't let your mind take control here. There's this psychologist out there, Marsha Linehan, and she works a lot with borderline personality disorder. She's very good at managing emotions and helping other people. And one of the wisest things she has to say is that you don't get to choose your thoughts. You don't get to choose your experiences. All you get to choose is where you place the focus. And so you may not get to choose for a while that your mind is throwing this desire at you and insisting that you act on it, but you do get to choose whether or not you focus on it or you place that focus somewhere else.
Right. So basically, the moral of the story is whenever I have these impulses or thoughts pop up, to stay actively do something, make a conscious effort to do something else.
You do any meditation?
Take my focus away.
Well, before you answer that question, I want to clarify something. I'm not telling you that you should run away from this thought, because there's a lot of data that says that when you try to avoid what your mind is giving you, it only gets bigger and it only gets stronger. Like if I tell you, don't think of an elephant, you're going to think of an elephant. And I tell you, try really, really hard not to think of an elephant, then elephants just become that much more important to you. What I'm saying is that you acknowledge what your mind is doing to you, and then you choose not to be angry at your mind, not to be angry at yourself. You just choose to place your focus elsewhere. So you're not running from it. You're just redirecting yourself. And there's a subtle difference there, but it's very important.
Got you.
Do you ever do any, caller, do you ever do any kind of meditation work?
Yeah, actually, I've been to several meditation seminars, actually, in the past couple of years.
How did those work out for you?
I learned the pranic breathing method, and then I learned the Wim Hof breathing method from them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, you got to figure out how to control your mind, right? I mean, you got to figure out how to move that ball of light, that awareness around. Sean's saying the same thing. I'm just kind of like using the woo-woo version of it from the monk. But like, this is a skill that you need to learn, right? And being distracted by this one, you know, the sure thing. Rollo's in the chat. He calls it, you know, the sure thing. But being distracted to that degree, I mean, how is that serving you? It's obviously not, right?
Yeah, Rich, I think that's a brilliant way to frame this. Is like this is an opportunity for him to develop something that he's going to need later in life.
All right, brother.
All right. I appreciate that, guys. Thank
All
you
right.
very much for your insight.
Thanks, man.
You bet, man.
All right. Well, we're at the end of the 90 minutes. Gonna have to let the last few callers go. Apologies, but try to call in sooner on the next show. We'll be on again next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That was an interesting show. Sean, any closing thoughts on that?
It always goes quick. But yeah, my closing thought is guys really get themselves hung up when they mix their categories. Like you're married, but you're acting like a roommate or vice versa. And we were talking early on about, do you mix your finances or not? I don't care what you do, but be very clear about what your categories are. Like if she's your girlfriend, she's your girlfriend, and she doesn't get wife privileges if she's a girlfriend.
Yeah, it's a good point. Welcome to new member Tower Guy. He says, this is so worth the $5 a month. Appreciate the support, man. Yeah, that's the whole point of the membership. I mean, some people always ask, well, why'd you close down the comments? They're not closed down. They're just open for members only. The problem is when they're open for the general public, you get these spazzes coming in there that cause problems for your channel, that trip off keywords that get your channel deranked or demonetized. So that's why it's that way. I mean, you can still watch the show. You can still call in. It's set up that way for a reason. So appreciate all the support from you guys and the new members and super chats and the call-ins and all that good stuff. Again, channel sponsor, check them out. Tactical Soap and the beard oil. It's pinned in all the descriptions of all the videos. We'll be back on next Monday at 8 p.m. And of course, if you haven't checked out my co-host book, is The Tactical Guide to Women. You can find it on Amazon. It's available in book, Kindle form. You've got an audible version in there too.
Oh yeah.
So audiobook and everything, guys. So check out Sean's work as well. I know he has a channel. He's super busy with his practice, but he's been cornered about putting up a new video. He says he's got something more.
Yeah, I gotta put out now.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching today's show. See you guys in episode 23 next Monday. Peace.